you had some, but it wasn't as prevalent as we see today.
Well, we also talk about the fact that how quick this turnaround was for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Planet of the Apes originally was 68, and this movie released in 70. Our sequels now take 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're planning it out ahead of time. Yeah,
I mean,
this was not planned.
The production on this was 2 months after this one. First one was a hit.
Which what you can see is basically the studio goes, "Holy crap, we're getting a whole lot of money. Get that second movie going now.
We've got to line these actors up. How do we do this?" They couldn't. Heston agreed to originally be a part of it, right? And then he eventually backed out.
No, he from the get-go said, "I don't want to do it. I don't want any part of it." And that's when Zanuck told him he had to. So he never wanted to be a part. He didn't like sequels. Didn't think it was something he should be doing.
He's a movie star.
He is, and at that time, movie stars, that was a very, very different, that was the end of the great studio era. You began to see stars go off on their own, but they still were very betrothed into, I made a hit with you, I have to work with you again. And he knew that he had, I won't say a series of flops, but he had a series of films that were marginally received.
So for somebody like James Franciscus, who had done some movies, but was large enough for television, did he see this as the point that would elevate him to the level that Heston is? Without question.
And, there are things that we can go into, and I don't know when we want to hit it, but I think I said in the previous minute that he wanted this project so much that he almost went in blindly, and then when he read the script, he thought it was a mess.
Is this Heston?
Heston or Franciscus?
This is Franciscus.
Oh, okay.
Franciscus was like, this is horrible, because what he said is almost kind of what we got into before. I think you made the point, Sean, with how do you restate information that's previously happened without saying previously on.
Yeah.
And he felt that that's all his character was somebody coming up and going, they're talking apes. They're that. And so he said,
and all those aren't surprises.
Yeah. And he said, you've got to allow me to have more inner turmoil or something with this than being the one that says it. Yes, my character's seeing it, but you got to let me find a unique way to do it. So he had problems with it. Everybody had problems with this film. Everybody. And that we will eventually get into the director despised parts of it as well.
So obviously, I don't know how successful this movie is. Are we saving that closer towards the end?
Successful in terms of critics or audience,
box
or
office, any of that stuff.
I said it previously. It made the original made 33.4. This one made 18 point something.
And its budget was
5. This was 3.
Yeah.
5 for the first one, 3 for. So it made 6 times its budget.
It did, but compared to the first one, it didn't.
Right.
But they all, to a certain extent, they had costumes kind of already largely made. There were some things they could save some money on. And you had to pay Heston as much, I assume. I have no idea.
Well, actually, Mr. Heston agreed if he did it, that his salary had to be donated to charity.
Wow.
He did not want to make money on it.
Because he just didn't want to do the movie?
Well, now you hear things, with the pay disparity with Donnie Wahlberg and Michelle Williams, was it for a film? Mark Wahlberg, you're right.
Donnie's his little brother, eh?
And he got paid $1 million, she got paid day rate.
Yeah.
And so there are people taking millions for small things like this, and if that were an actor today, they probably would.
Well, Mark Wahlberg just announced a couple weeks ago or whatever, he's donating that money.
I heard that, yeah. And that was the right thing to do. It was
of course, but it was only after you get called out.
Nobody could see my eye roll.
Yeah, it was only after you got called out that you decided to donate it, but yeah.
But I digress. So, I mean, for Franciscus, I think this was a huge thing to be a part of. Initially, when somebody
first,
for somebody to come along and go, "Hey, Mr. Almost Dr. Kildare, come on, we're going to make you a movie star," and it's arguably one of the
somewhat successful on TV, so it wasn't like he was an unknown quantity. People wanted to go see him in a big box office.
But at that time,
there wasn't a whole lot of crossover between TV and movie.
And if there was, it was definitely that you're taking that elevation. If you're going from TV to film,
you didn't slum it on TV,
right? You had to be a big enough star. And again, he was a very pretty man. They knew he had a face for movies. They weren't stupid.
We'll get into that later.
I'm sure we will. Yeah. He's not shown up yet. We see his name, but not him.
This basically minute ends. You guys were basically listening to audio. You didn't get to hear very much, but it basically ends with Linda Harrison's name. So we get starring James Francisco, Kim Hunter, Maurice Evans, Linda Harrison. Every single one of those names probably got about 5 to 10 seconds of pause over the riding of
riding horses on
riding horses along beaches.
Yes.
Yeah, replaying very similar scenes.
And Linda got fourth billing, whether that's by attrition or being married to a studio person.
People dropping out
in
front of her.
You're moving on up the ladder. She is jumping up. And by the way, I finally watched that Wonder Woman thing. Mm-hmm, my God, was that horrendous or what?
It was the 50s or 60s. I mean, nothing was really good back then. I'm sorry, but
they had Diana being like live at home with her mom, and I was like, what the hell? I'm you know what? When this episode hits, I'm posting the link to it because you will just sit there and go, what? When you just have the great Wonder Woman we did, and then you have that, it's like, wow, come a long way.
So we're at the end of minute 3. We've had some credit sequences, some writing on the beach. We're feeling calm and relaxed and excited. We had a score, like amped us up for the next minute.
Is the table set?
The table is set.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's it for the day. We will be back tomorrow with another breathtaking minute of recap. Another minute of recaps and credits. So until then, for Richard and Sean, I'm Todd. Bye.
Bye.
Beneath the minute of the apes. Beneath the minute of the apes. Beneath the minute of the